Good evening. Welcome to Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. We're coming to you live from our studios here on the John Hammond Street, streaming live on 3news.com and our numerous affiliates across the country, around the world. Also live on Facebook. Our handles 3FM 927. That's where we're live, and that's where you can send us a message on all of the stories we're bringing to you this evening. Fresh on our bill tonight, the Ghana Journalists Association gives General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association 5 days to retract alleged threatening comments that journalists will be dealt with when they visit hospitals. We have exclusive details plus a response from the RNMA for you if you stay with us. Also, for a bit more on this, the GJ has been strongly admonishing journalists to report ethically and responsibly during the Akwatia by-election. We'll give you details of that. Plus, we're at Akwatia because it's become the hotbed of political activity as the two leadership of the major political parties pitch camp there days to that by-election to replace the deceased Member of Parliament, Ernest Yao Kumi. Meanwhile, the latest Global Info Analytics poll projects the NDC's candidates favored by voters in the crucial elections. We'll give you the exclusive details if you stay with us here on Hot Edition. And you're welcome to the bulletin. I am Mawuena Egbeta. We're getting straight into our very first story for you this evening, starting in Akwatia, because it's become a hotbed of all of Ghana's politics this evening as leadership of the two major political parties pitch camp there 4 days to that by-election to replace deceased MP Ernest Yao Kumi. Former President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo is expected to join the national leadership of the opposition NPP in holding a 1-week commemoration for the late MP, a move described by political watchers as a masterstroke. The NDC, on the other hand, has been crisscrossing the township, with Chief of Staff Julius Debra already having visited, and now National Chairman Johnson Osiedu Nketia leading the campaign to snatch the seat. The Police Management Board, POMAP, led by the Inspector General of Police Christian Tete Yohunu, meanwhile has arrived in the township assessing the security situation ahead of Tuesday's by-election in what could be, or would be rather, a heated contest. The visit follows heightened tension between supporters of the two major political parties. Let's take you there right now. Yvonne Nikwe is joining us on the telephone lines. Yvonne, you've been stationed in the township all throughout the day. Talk to us about the political activism which has engulfed the Akwatia constituency.
Well, Mawuena, each day, I must say each hour, the political activism gets heated, I should say gets better for all of those who are in the stakeholders group of the political parties, NPP, NDC, because they have earmarked activities they are engaging. On one side, as the NPP is preparing by engaging in the final funeral rites of the deceased MP, amidst that doing its own lobbying of electorate as well. The opposition, the NDC, on the other hand, led by the national chairman, Osiedu Nketia, is also in the hinterlands as well, ensuring that they're lobbying the electorate as well across the area from Wentin, Takra, Apinaman. We're seeing all of the vehicles move in and out. Just a while ago, the police briefed the media on its preparation. It was led by COP Vance Baba Gariba, the Director General of Operations. Essentially, he says that, and as much as it's received concerns about the numbers have been strategically being placed in the Akwatia constituency, because if you look at the 119 electoral areas that were dealing with MP, their envisage of issues that might happen, they would have to ensure that the numbers are huge and then resort to CCTVs and drones as well to ensure that as incidents happen, per the second, they are monitoring and reacting as quickly and effectively as possible.
And for all of this that we've been seeing play out, how are the residents taking it all in?
It's a mixed feeling for the residents in this constituency. For many of them, well, they know that, yes, they must be part and parcel of the processes for the by-election. The others still look a bit worried about the presence of the police, but that's the assurance of the police that as much as their numbers are huge, yes, their defense is that they do not want to be surprised at as well. And so for the residents, they are well prepared to cast their votes. Like we said, in as much as I'm seeing lots of researchers, the DJ will tell us exactly where the vote is likely to be. This is a swing constituency, as I've been saying early on, back-to-back 2012, we're seeing each of the opposing sides pick their seats. This is a decider because all of the parties are fresh candidates on both sides who are going to contest. And so it would take a lot from the people of this constituency to make that choice. If the choice is going to be on development or even on the persona of the candidates who are standing up to be elected for the constituency. All of these are part of the issues the people of this constituency will be looking at beyond the external politics that, of course, they are also looking at because they are part of the country as well. They do have their internal politics as well that they are also observing to make those choices.
But you've been interacting with them. We've seen the latest poll as well come from Musa Dankwa. What is top on the agenda for the residents who you've been speaking to that will push them in a particular direction when they decide to cast their ballots come Tuesday?
Well, this community is a mix-up of a lot of things. The constituent itself, you could call it cosmopolitan. You don't have safely solely people of, as it were, one-sided because of the mining that has been happening here for a long time. So you cannot say traditionally it would be a certain side if you want to go through the ethnic lens. And so that is a no-go area. When it comes to development, back-to-back, all of the regimes have not been able to put up well policy for the GCD in this community. And so none of the political parties can make claim to that for them to vote for them. All the conversation has been on what they intend to do or what they are likely to do. The NPP candidate is a miner. The NDC candidate is a lawyer. As to which of them are likely to put forward their issues when it comes to development as one of the things they'll be looking out for. We do know that when it comes to which of the electoral areas who are the deciders, we can talk of the Akwatia community itself or talk about Boidia, Wenchi, Takrasi. Those four communities are communities who will be watching us because those polls from those areas could be the decider for whoever wins. The NDC candidate is coming from Wenchi, where the MPP candidate passed out. I'm talking of Eric Mawuena. So that's one of the things. The new MPP candidate is coming from the Boidia constituency. So it may be a tie or something when it comes to those constituencies. But really, beyond developmental issues of roads, of schools, of GCD not being effective to ensure that the resources in this community, which is the natural resources of diamond and gold, are properly mined and people in this area do benefit, really, those issues having slid down because they have not benefited for whoever has been in power over the several years that Diamond have been in this community.
And Yvonne, most certainly we will be getting a bit more from you on this. But just finally on that police address from earlier, you mentioned who addressed it. What is the police's own version of their preparedness for the election and as well the Electoral Commission? Because we know the Electoral Commission yesterday met the political party leadership as well.
Well, from the police side, COP Dr. Vance Gariba, the Director General of the Ghana Police Service, did a briefing today. From his own words, he says that they are assuring the electorate and whoever is participating in this particular election of their safety. Reasons why they have played their numbers to their chest, that beyond the 5,000, there are several state-of-the-art technology they are adding up to ensure that the peace of this constituency is kept even after whoever is declared the winner is. We do know that some residents have had mixed feelings of the numbers of the vehicles and then the personnel in. But today we have to ask questions, and responding to that, COP Gariba said, well, they understand, but per their own calculation, when you look at the numbers they are dealing with, and then the electoral area, 52,000 over all polling stations, any of them could be a potential flag point. And so they do not want to be, as it were, overwhelmed. And so their men will have to be there. But they are assuring the people of Akwatia that everybody should just come out to go to the polls, vote, and peacefully return until the coalition begins. And so that has been the words of the COP Gariba. He also made mention that those who have not been accredited will not be allowed to polling station or coalition center. So if you are not an accredited party agent, media, or a stakeholder in the election, you should not be at the polling station or coalition center. Otherwise, you would have to deal with the police.
Right then, thank you very much, Yvonne. I appreciate the report and its detailed nature that you've been providing to us. And I'm sure we'll meet at Akwatia soon enough so that I'll get the debrief as well of what to look out for ahead of that by-election.
Very well, Eric.
That's Yvonne Ikwe, my colleague in the Akwatia Township for us right now. But we know as well that that seat has become vacant. There's a latest poll which is putting the NDC's Bernard Bediako in that hotly contested Akwatia by-election as a potential winner. The survey conducted between the 27th and then the 28th with over 2,000 sampled voters puts Bediako ahead of his closest challenger, Solomon K.S. of the ruling NPP by 43 to 47, and we know that that seat has become vacant. Let's hear from Musa Dankwa, who's the Executive Director of Global Info Analytics, as he spoke to my colleague Beatrice Edru earlier on the Midday News.
I think MPP is in disarray in Akwatia. They're divided, and the messaging is not penetrating through what people want to hear. As you mentioned rightly, about 57% of the respondents economy and developmental projects. That's a huge number that would sway them based on who they think can provide that solution. But more importantly, 24% of people who voted for NSCOMI in 2024 have switched their vote to NDC candidates. 24%.
Why?
We don't know why. It's a poll. We must go and find out why. But the evidence is there. Again, if you look at the first poll we did, Esmedu was 77% support in Wenchi, and NDC was 23%. Today, MPP has fallen from 77% in Wenchi, where the Puna will be held, to 49%. That is where the problem is.
So
what's going on in MPP in Wenchi, I can't tell.
You can't tell.
The data tells a story.
But I'm glad you talk about the phenol bit. Do you think that it would have a way of influencing vote? Although your survey, which ended on 28th, suggested that sympathy vote represent just about 4%. Do you think the phenol would have a way of increasing that?
It will not.
It will not.
People have moved away from emotional politics to real politics. Development and economic issues.
And I just wanted to get more, before you go, more in terms of what you got from your interaction with constituents beyond what you've just told us now, what they say would influence their vote moving forward.
Look, what we've heard in the field suggests that they don't believe the MPP candidate can bring the development that they need. Akwatia has very bad roads, and the reasonable need the roads to be fixed. Voting for opposition candidates will not help do that.
That's Musa Dankwa, is Executive Director of Global Info Analytics. Let's bring in Professor Smart Sapong. He's a political analyst and get a bit more from him on what he as well, looking into the glass, he's seeing in terms of how things are expected to play out in the Akwatia by-election. Prof, I appreciate you speaking to us as always. Good evening. Trust that you're well.
All is well, Eric.
Fantastic. And we've pretty much got just the only poll ahead of this by-election. From where you sit and the analysis and the heat of the campaign happening, could this be a reflection of what plays out on Tuesday when citizens or residents of Akwatia go out in their numbers to vote?
Well, a very good evening to your good self and to our cherished listeners. I think it's a tight race, as we all know, and Akwatia in history has been tight. In fact, the highest the NDC has done was 57% somewhere in 2008, and the highest the MPP has done is 60.6 in 2016 by the famous Mercy Adijemfi Eke Amase. And when you take these two outliers away, the rest has hovered around 52, 50, then the one trailing will do 49, 47, thereabout. So it's actually a tight constituency on a normal day. When it gets to the special case of by-elections, usually the dynamics are not the same as on the general elections where we do not know who is going to be the president. When there is a president in place, usually the dynamics do change, and it will take a very good campaign by the NPP to make sure that their dominance or their recent win will be sustained. Again, I don't want to underestimate the effect of the candidates. The Solomon Asumedu, representing NPP, we are told, is a core, die-hard, core constituency citizen who has influenced a lot of the youth by way of employing some and engaging in various activities with many of them. And so he is quite popular on the ground, and we wait to see his popularity translating into a win. But then talk about the B3 guy, who is also a true citizen and a candidate for the NDC, who is also on the ground, supported heavily by the big wigs of the NDC party. So I see it still as a very close to call, a race so close to call, and that each day will count. You asked my brother Musa Dankwa whether the funeral may whip up some sympathies. If they do it well, it has a
you think it has a tendency of getting some sentiments sway in the favor of the NPP?
No, in fact, every vote counts, even if it's able to sway at least one or two and not to the magnitude they are expecting, it would still make some difference. So we wait to see how the days unfold, but every day counts, every minute counts. Maximize your campaign, engage the people, make sure all your base come out to vote. It's one important aspect of the work they have done. If at the end of the day the people you spoke to did not come out to vote, it would nullify all the efforts you have done. So all these activities should be done more as the day approaches.
We've seen in terms of what we have done by ourselves in the reportage and all of that, matters of development dominating the conversation because Akwatia is a mining township. We've seen diamonds in billions of folds extracted and gold as well, but the people feel they haven't received their fair share of development in terms of roads and infrastructure, and that looks like it will be a dominant subject, a theme that could play out in this conversation. Where do you think the pendulum swings to if citizens are voting by just development alone on Tuesday?
Oh, by development, then obviously it will swing towards the NDC because, the executive power is in the NDC's hands, and they can cause the happenings or the expectations to become reality. But I think we have observed many of such instances where the people were promised a lot of things, but when the elections were over, they saw nothing. In fact, the people of Akwatia, like you rightly said, have been disappointed, left behind the developmental agenda or distribution of the national cake for quite a long time. And I mean, if these promises being given to them will materialize, it will be a good news for the people. But it will not be the first time we see politicians promising us and not fulfilling. That is not to say they will not do it. But I mean,
but do you see
do
you see the subject of development dominating this election?
In fact, Eric, it is the most winnable campaign message in a by-election, because that one, your president is on the seat. So I would have been surprised if there was any other campaign message other than development. In by-elections, if you have observed, the most winnable campaign message is development. And in some instances, we are here in this country, we've seen overnight development activities going on in constituencies just to demonstrate that we have the energy and the power to develop your place for you. We have seen some overnight, you sleep and you wake up. My place in Amenfi West, I think, when Honorable Jetia was the president, about the MP, about some 18, 20 years ago. We slept at night and we woke up to see roads, President Kufuor's time, roads having been constructed, just to prove to the people that, development comes from us, and that if you vote for us, we are the ones able to champion. So development, dear, I can assure you, it will be the center of all the campaigns, and by far the winnable campaign message that any of the two parties can use. And it favors the NDC, frankly.
Right. We still have a long way to go. And on the midday news, when I was having a conversation with Mr. Dankwa by myself, I asked that question that 4 more days to go, a day to an election is a good enough time to convince somebody to vote for you.
Right.
What should the two parties be doing in this home run stretch to ensure that they get over the line? Because this is a close contest.
Yeah, there is a campaign chart that starts from a year to election day, a month to election day, a week to election day, a day to election day. I'm sure the politicians should have the chart. If not, we will share with you so that you can display, so that politicians will go by some of these things.
Prof, I'll be looking forward to the chat personally. I'm sending you the reminder right now.
Say it again.
I'm sending the reminder via WhatsApp right now.
So thank you. I'll do that for you, Eric. So what should be done 4 days to election is that now you are closing in on all your ranks. So you go to a community, you identify it's categorized into 3. Those that are your core count on, people who are going to vote for you, sure ones. Then we have those that you are sure won't vote for you. Then you have those in the middle that you still think that some work needs to be worked on them. Close in on your potential voters. Those that you are very sure are going to vote for you. In fact, before you go in for a cut, try to go and convince somebody who you know won't vote for you. Make sure you have safeguarded and protected the people who you know are going to vote for you, and ensure that they go out to vote. 3 days to election, 4 days to election. The work politicians must do is to secure the sure voters and then do some trial or engagement with the 50-50 floating people, those who you are not certain of. It's a bad time to try to go into the enemy's camp, the opponent's camp, to go for a catch. It's the wrong time. In fact, by the time you come back from the opponent's camp with one soul, the secured ones would have been angry that we have been with you, we have assured you, and now you are chasing this person. So you win 1 and you lose 4. All these things are scientific, and around this time, I'm sure they are doing their best, closing in, so they can secure at least the votes that they are sure of, and then try to win from the middle. As for the other no-go areas, anybody wasting his efforts at people you know won't vote for you, NDC strongholds, MPP strong, by this time, you are not politically strategic.
Prof, I've sent that message, but we'll leave the conversation here. I'm sure we'll talk a lot more in the lead up to the voting day, and then we'll bring the best perspective to listeners.
Yes, my brother. Thank you so much.
That's Professor Smart Sapon speaking to us this evening here on Hot Edition here on 3FM 92.7. And like I mentioned, a bit more on this for you because like I mentioned, the political parties are red hot in the Akwatia constituency. They've been interacting heavily with constituents and they've been speaking as well. Let's hear from Justin Frimpong Kuria, who's General Secretary of the NPP, speak at that vigil held yesterday.
And that gold board on Yaba. Minus Moya, now Bino, I did I'm 13,000. What is Swapa for? Solomon, and the Korea for Pumbia, 7 minus Momaton, about
Thank you.
I buy any gold woman, that gold board name. Openia, lawyer near truck that Guamas, that gold board name, Savoy or Kaudi. And then the man is more black, Savoy and Obeso or Kaudi, and I saw gold board, no, Abaya. Sandy Power, dear to my dear. Sandy Power, dear to my dear.
That's Justin Frimpong Kuria as the General Secretary of the NPP speaking there. Let's hear as well from the chairman of the NDC, Johnson Asidun Kitia, who has been speaking as well in the Akwatia constituency.
It is also so now or Tom, Sam Maton. One try of every day. Sessia, but I don't have money, Mahama. Any NDC, any attack could be out of some. Say, put you back also. And she said, Papa, be our Koswa. Every president don't have money, Mahama. And that's happening. Yaka said, Pompe, Madame Musini, now on back at him, no fun to Umra. Obia, Watra, Akwatia, Tabia, and the said, so put your Baba Akwatia. I just had this. And your bra, NDC, Atia, and your MP, and your NDC.
That's Johnson Asidun Kitia, as the General Secretary of the governing. He's the chairman, national chairman, I beg your pardon. He's been the General Secretary for quite a while. That's why we call him Chairman General. If you're around the NDC, they call him Chairman General anytime. But you're live here on Hot Edition, and we're going for a very short break. When we return, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to go straight into our stories for you this evening here on Hot Edition, and onto our top story having to do with, amongst many other things, the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association's General Secretary, Dr. David Tinkranchum, who has been making some comments. And tonight, the Ghana Journalists Association has descended heavily on the General Secretary of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, Dr. David Tinkranchum, for some remarks he made during an interview on Accra-based NIT FM in June this year. In the video, which surfaced after the Ridge Hospital assault incident, Dr. Tinkranchum is heard to have said that some journalists have been marked and will be dealt with when they visit any hospital. This has enraged the Ghana Journalists Association, which has deemed his comment as gravely unfortunate and irresponsible, demanding that he immediately issues a public apology within 5 days or face both criminal and civil action. And we will get a bit more details right now from my colleague Christian Yalo, who's just returning from that news conference by the Ghana Journalists Association. Christian, you were in that presser. Talk to us about the concern and the visible anger on the faces of the GJ executives when these comments were made.
Eric, we would recall that the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association had wanted to embark on a strike demanding better conditions of service, among many other things, which was scheduled for June this year. That strike was called off after a meeting with the Parliamentary Select Committee on Health, after which government made some promises to them that they were going to consider their demands, and also after that intensive negotiations that they had with government to demand for the implementation of their 2024 conditions of service agreement. And so after the call of or the suspension of that strike, Dr. Tinkran Chum is on record to have attended to an interview on an Accra-based radio station, during which interview he said that some journalists have branded the GRNMA as political and that their demands on government as of the time were not genuine because the things or the conditions of service they were requesting are things that were to be implemented by the previous government. And so for those journalists who had branded the GRNMA as political, he wants to tell them that GRNMA is not political, for which reason he said that those journalists would come to meet them in hospitals whenever they visit hospitals. So those remarks are what the GJA thinks are so irresponsible, are reckless, for which reason they are demanding that he apologizes within 5 days or face them in court.
Christian, thankfully we've been joined by the president of the Ghana Journalists Association, Albert Kwabena Jumfo. Mr. Jumfo, I appreciate you joining us. I trust that you're well.
Thank you so much, and good evening to your cherished listeners, and thanks for the call.
Right. You say Dr. David Tinkran Chum must apologize within 5 days or he will face civil and criminal charges. In what capacity are you making or are you demanding this apology from him? Because one can easily say that when he spoke, he mentioned no names and there was no malice intended in what he said. An argument that can be put forth.
Thank you. And do you believe that there was no malice intended? As a journalist, you've listened and watched the video. Would you say that there was no malice intended? Somebody who has categorically said that you've marked. The word, the emphasis is on marked. Mark them. So if you mark people, what do you mean? It means that you have targeted certain categories of persons who you think or who you feel does not reason with you. Are we not in a democratic dispensation era?
We absolutely are.
Where one can reason and can share his thoughts on issues. Even we, as leaders of the Inky fraternity, we have our own members criticizing us sometimes when we take decisions. If you say you mark them because you believe that their position is contradictory to your position, then it means that you have an evil intention. You intend to cause harm. Because when you watch the video, I have had opportunity to watch or to listen carefully the full video and interview. I personally engaged the host, Manjeri of NIT FM, on the matter. He had made the comment until the host came in and I said that you cannot make such statements. Why are you talking this way? Before he came back and decided to polish it. We are saying that whether it was polished or not, for you to even say you have marked people, you understand, it means that that word mark alone is a threat on its own, and we don't take it lightly.
You don't take it kindly. You don't take it kindly at all.
Yes.
On the civil and criminal action, how do you intend to proceed with this? Because yes, you've categorized this as a threat. In what form are you going to seek to have this redressed?
First of all, we indicated, and I think that if you listen carefully to our press conference today briefing, we have elaborated on on a number of issues, the processes, and what we intend to do if he fails to meet the 5-day ultimatum. Now, what we have also said was that under the civil action is very simple. These are words of threat. Like you just our legal team has advised. We are just waiting and ready. What we are going to do is that as the leadership of the Inky fraternity and as the mother or parent body for all journalists in Ghana, we don't need any specific person. Once we make such deliberately a record statement against journalists, we have the locus, we have the capacity, we have the constitutional mandate to seek legal redress. And so the GJ itself, without any specific journalist or any member, will seek redress in the court of competent jurisdiction. And again, we had already, like I indicated at the presser, our petition is ready. Yesterday, I had a brief chat with the police head, and I said IGP, and we are going to send the petition to him for the police to also advise on the criminal aspect. And so it is not something we are taking it kindly. It is not something we are going to allow it slip. You know, we can't sit here for one association, a leader of one association, to use our own platform. He is saying that the hospitals, the public hospitals, are their offices. And do they own the platform, the media platforms too? If you are talking about your office, then we also own the media platforms.
Right.
And these are our offices. So you can't come and sit in our office and threaten us. This is not something we will take for granted. We are going to deal with him, and we have given him 5 days. We have said that either he do the needful within these 5 days, or he does that.
Right. And I just want to ask one more question in relation to this subject matter. Dr. David Tinkranchum is the General Secretary of the Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Has the leadership in any way reached out to you, or you reaching out to them, because as a president of that association, for a conversation as to these threats which were issued by the General Secretary, and perhaps they say they will take some internal action against him?
Oh, but I think, for me, we have indicated in our statement that the nurses, the Ghana Nurses and Midwifery Association should immediately come out and either disassociate themselves from those reckless comments and disown him, or we will deem it as being official comment or statement made on their behalf, and we will include them regardless. But on our side, we have engaged. My vice president has engaged him. My general secretary engaged him. And I know even after today's presser, he has reached out to my general secretary. And so we have engaged. But I think for us, it is not about engagement. It's about emphasis is on the threat on journalists, which we don't take for kind. We don't take. Yes.
And when he reached out, was he remorseful over these comments he had made, or he was just seeking to engage and ask that you do this at a different forum in addressing this matter?
I wouldn't want to speak for him. Unfortunately, I didn't talk to him directly, but I understand that he was clarifying and rather explaining his side of the story. What we don't, that is not what we need. We just wanted to establish the fact that you made such comments. Once those statements were made, with the clarification and trying to defend or explain is not what we needed. What we needed to establish is that, is it your voice? Is that your picture? It is not cut and joint. You made it, and once he affirmed and confirmed that he did that, that gives us the ground to advance our cause. Right,
President. One more from you from the press conference today on Akwatia. I know you made a number of comments in relation to that. Top of it all, what would you be expecting of the security agencies, considering in the the rerun at Abilikuma North, we saw a number of journalists suffer some assaults to certain levels of degrees, and we're yet to see the full extent in terms of prosecutions and all of that?
Of course, we had emphasized and stressed on the need to protect the journalists in the discharge of our duty. We had also made call on the Ghana Police Service. In fact, if you recall, just a week ago, the leadership, the leaders, the IGP and his program members had paid a courtesy call on the leadership of the GJA, assuring us, in fact, the IGP had said, and I quote him, that he himself will protect journalists during Akwatia, and that if his member doesn't protect, he himself will ensure that journalists are protected. And so for us, we have said that, look, we have picked a lot of, we know that, in fact, they've learned from Abekuma. We are duly informed that they've learned from Abekuma and that they have in fact devised a number of strategies to make sure to ensure a smooth and peaceful and orderliness during this process. But then we are saying that when journalists come under attack, if any journalist discharging its constitutional and legally mandated duty is attacked during during Akwatia by-election, we are going to hold the leadership, the management, then the IGP responsible. We will hold the leadership of the Ghana Police Service responsible. If any journalist is assaulted or attacked, the discharge of his or a duty at Akwatia, we are going to ensure that we hold the police responsible.
Sure thing, President. We'll leave it here, and many thanks as always for speaking to us.
Thank you too, and thank you, 3 News, for the good job you are doing. We want to assure you that you guys should keep on doing your work. We are there to protect your interests, and we'll do everything possible to ensure that, yes, journalists discharge its work or our work in a freer media environment, and not in a hostile environment. If you come with hostility, we will welcome you with hostility. And this is the message I want to send to all those perpetrators, the evil men and women who think they can just beat us, they can just assault us, inflict us with injuries and go scot-free. We will meet them with hostility when they approach us with hostility.
Right, and that's Albert Kwabena Jumfor. He is the president of the Ghana Journalists Association. As always, as a journalist, it's lovely hearing such assurances coming from your president that you can proceed with the work that you're supposed to be doing, because the Ghana Journalists Association will work to ensure your safety. As always, thank you. Christian, let's round up because there was on the assault of journalists. You mentioned some other cases which we're looking forward to getting resolutions on. Just briefly.
Yes, the key one is the recent assault of a Joy News journalist, Carlos, who was during a live report on the Spintex Road attacked. We know that the presidency, through the Minister for Government Communications, Phyllis Kwatiofosu, condemned the act. We know the military also initiated a probe into that incident. The GJA says the military is beginning to confirm their fears because they believe that the report from that investigative action is long overdue and has delayed. And so they're demanding that the report from that investigative process be made public and published as soon as possible. So that is basically the major highlight of the other cases of assault on journalists that the GJA wants action to be taken on right now.
Christian, as always, thank you very much. Excellent work. Christian Yale, my colleague here at TV33 FM and 3 News, bringing us up to speed with the details of the press conference by the Ghana Journalists Association. In case you were wondering really what the comments of David Tinkranchum were, here's exactly what he had to say.
Yeah, what kind of good? Passionate. Sunny, okay, one say, Sunny, all cunning. Yes. Oh, before from Roberts, now be cut. Netra, Aquafa, deaf, everyone say.
That is
the normal condition of service. Yes, white allowance. Nurses, so go ya also. Or Yasroba. But and the woman who a Casa Salme, Macondem, several occasions. So we shouldn't also tackle it in that manner. And it shouldn't be. Those journalists, we have marked them. They will come and meet us at the hospitals. I'm telling you, I'm serious about it.
Why are you saying that?
I'm saying it because we need to prove to them. No. Listen, hold on. We need to prove to them, say, we are professionals. We will demonstrate to them that we are professionals. How? We will prove to them that we are professionals. I'm not saying you're on body. You're on body. Me kase ye be prove that we are professionals. So send almost so ye they who no yes and ye be your hospital. So I'm to office, radio station, almost can have the almost buy and yet a consulting room. Yes, no, we will be professionals. We will demonstrate to them.
David, you shouldn't have said this.
They're professionals.
You shouldn't have said this.
And you heard the host of the program urging him that he shouldn't have said that. But we'll move away from this. And the communications director at the office of the special prosecutor, Savannah, has denied claims that the office uses tactics, that is bail, conditioned to unnecessarily keep people behind bars. The comment comes weeks after the former board chair of the Ghana Airports Company Limited, Paul Adomotri, was kept over investigations regarding some financial contracts the company undertook during his tenure. Mr. Adomotri was asked to provide 2 landed properties registered in his name. The bail terms were subsequently varied. Speaking with Black Rasta on the Urban Blend, Samedako said that the OSP does not intentionally try to keep people behind bars. And Samedako is the director of public communications, amongst many other things, at the office of the special prosecutor.
Even for a court of competent jurisdiction, when a person is not able to meet a bail, the court reconsiders it when an application is made. So it doesn't mean you are compromising. So we may have set a certain bail bond for you. When we lower to another bail bond, it doesn't mean we have compromised. It only means that we still think that the new one is sufficient for us. Remember that you will set your bail bond, but the person may not be able to meet it, right? And when the person doesn't meet it, the law,
person should be there. The person should remain there until
the law is that after 48 hours, you must present the person before a court. So the person will still go to court and get bail anyway, right? And then the whole idea is to follow the law.
So the court will give this person bail even if they realize that he's not able to meet the bail bond?
No, if after... The law says that after 40, we can't keep a suspect for more than 48 hours. After 48 hours, we need to present the person before a court.
And tell the court that he's not been able to meet his bail bond.
Yes, if you put the person before court, the court will set a bail bond for the person. Now,
really?
Yes, if the person is not able to meet the court's bail bond, then it's up to the person and the court.
Okay.
That one, the judge will give a warrant or something, and then you officially will be there. If you look at the investigation we just did at Ghana Airport, right?
Paul Adomotri,
Ghana Airports, let's call it Ghana Airports. You realize that they have terminated the contract, right? Yeah, they've terminated the contract.
Right.
You have no idea how much revenue we have saved the state. Just by the investigation.
But the people are hitting back. They are hitting back. They say they want judgment date, kind of.
Yes, they say they want judgment there, but it doesn't mean that the state will pay them a judgment there. They need to prove in court, right? And I'm saying that if you look at the value of what they said, they are talking about $64 million or something.
What?
So if investigations have shown that, say, the contract did not go through the right procedure and it's been terminated, that's a lot of saving for the state. I'm just saying that these are the works that we do. We block payments.
That is Samedako speaking there on Urban Blend with Black Rasta, and we'll just round up on our stories this evening, making way for business. And the death toll in the communal conflict in the Sola and Bole district of the Savannah region has sharply risen to 18 according to the National Disaster Management Organization, and more than 12,000 women and children continue to be displaced. It's a story that will continue to keep our eyes and our lenses peeled on and bring you details over. Let's hear from NADMO in the area as to exactly what's been happening. And here is the Savannah Regional Director for NADMO, Mahama Zakari.
It's not good. Sometimes it's difficult to even talk about some of these things. As of yesterday evening, per my briefings from my district director, they have 8 persons that were killed yesterday. 5 from the Chanchere area in the Bole district, and then we have about 3 around the Mankuma area. So it's not good, but we have a lot of unconfirmed death situation, but officially I can confirm that we've had 8 yesterday, 5 from the Chanchere area, and some 3 around the Mankuma area.
So in total, how many deaths are we talking about?
In total, for now, officially, we are talking about 17, 18.
That's the regional NADMO director, and we'll make way now for the very latest in the world of business. Bismarck Awusa is here to do that for us.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year, and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the business segment on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 with me, Bismarck Awusa. Coming up tonight, Lands Minister sets September 1 deadline for 902 small-scale miners to validate licenses or face revocation. We'll bring you details. Thanks for your company, and now to the details. The Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, Emmanuel Amakufibua, has warned that all small-scale mining license holders who fail to prove their legitimacy by 5 p.m. on 1st September 2025 will have their licenses permanently revoked. The directive from the minister follows a review of licenses conducted by a special committee tasked with auditing existing small-scale mining licenses. In the rigorous exercise, a total of 1,278 licenses were reviewed, out of which 316 were found to be clear of any irregularities. The remaining 962, however, were fraught with various irregularities, out of which 55 were revoked earlier this year. Moving on, the Ghana Association of Banks is calling for a review of the country's banking laws to allow financial institutions to jointly finance cocoa loans. An intervention, it says, is critical to boosting Ghana's foreign exchange reserves. The following 3 Business News Desk report has the details.
Under current regulations, banks are restricted in the amount of debt they can extend to a single entity, a measure designed to mitigate risks. However, the association argues that this limitation prevents banks from pooling resources to support large-scale cocoa financing despite the sector's strategic importance.
Now, as we speak, they are already over here with cocoa board. So the room to accommodate any more exposures on cocoa board is very limited. The only way to do that is for somebody to say, we have opened a lot more room for you. And they will be happy to. And if the credit structure is self-liquidating properly, then the banks will be up and doing to support cocoa.
Cocoa remains Ghana's top export earner, and timely financing is essential for purchasing beans during the crop season. Delays in securing syndicated loans have, in recent years, affected the country's forex inflows and weakened the cedi. The association says it is engaging regulators and policymakers to explore legal amendments that will enable structured collaboration among banks while maintaining prudent lending standards.
It's the number one foreign exchange earner. Why don't we give it that which it needs instead of going to borrow dollars and then we earn the dollars and use it to pay off dollars? Then we use cedis to buy cocoa, then we get the dollars, we use the dollars to support our foreign reserves. Then it stays with us to support whatever importation currency support programs that the central bank would want to pursue. So I am all for local funding of the cocoa business, except that certain things must give way to enable the banks to play the role they have to play.
And that was the voice of Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Ewa, in that report. Now, the As the Bank of Ghana prepares to introduce Islamic banking, also known as non-interest banking and finance, the National Banking College says it will roll out specialized training programs to equip professionals in the sector. The central bank has been exploring the new banking model as an alternative funding model to help address Ghana's high cost of borrowing. Speaking to 3 Business on the sidelines of the college's 30th anniversary and annual general meeting, Principal Gloria Darlin-Corti said the institution is taking proactive steps to support the transition.
If you have listened to the governor of the Bank of Ghana, it is one of the areas that the central bank is actually looking at. And so we won't wait for it to start in full before we begin looking in that direction. And so, yes, we are looking at Islamic banking. We are doing our research and putting our works together. And hopefully from next year, we will begin to bring that knowledge also to our banks. Because as you know, most of our banks, in fact, all our banks, nobody is into Islamic banking at this point in time. And so we are just moving in tandem with the vision and the vision of the governor of the central bank, and that's exactly what we are doing. So we intend to move into that space in terms of training from next year going forward.
You just heard the voice of Principal of the National Banking College, Gloria Darlin-Corti. The Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, says the government is working to establish a second conventional buoy mooring system to address persistent delays in clearing petroleum products at the ports. The move, he says, will significantly ease congestion and improve turnaround times for bulk oil imports.
His comments follow concerns raised by the Chamber of Bulk Oil Distributors, which warned that disruptions of Ghana's Lacon import schedule have cost industry players over $40 million in the first half of the year alone. The delays, according to the Chamber, contribute up to 60 pesos to the cost build-up of fuel. Speaking at an event organized by the National Petroleum Authority, Mr. Jinapor said lessons from the petroleum sector would be applied to strengthen Ghana's power sector.
I'm learning a lot of lessons from the petroleum sector, and I've made a lot of position papers to cabinet. The petroleum sector, in my opinion, despite the challenges, seem to be doing better than the power sector. So the question is, what is the petroleum sector doing that the power sector is not doing? So we can learn. And also, what are the few issues in the petroleum sector that we can enhance? One of the key issues has to do with Lacon allocation. I get inundated with issues of Lacon. And that's why, together with the MPA and other stakeholders, we want to have a second mooring system. Once we have that, issues of Lacons are over. So one of the ways to deal with such challenges is to address the root cause. And we've been working around the clock to address those issues.
And that was Minister for Energy and Green Transition, John Jinapor, in that report. Before we go, the President and Chief Executive of the National or Natural Resource Governance Institute, Sunita Kemal, says Africa must urgently adopt a new model for financing its energy future, one that prioritizes equity, innovation, and long-term resilience.
The Natural Resource Governance Institute President and CEO warned that traditional funding approaches have failed to meet the continent's energy needs, leaving over 600 million Africans without electricity and nearly 1 billion reliant on biogas for cooking.
Blended finance is an idea that you can leverage small amounts of public sector money to attract large amounts of private sector investment. There was this idea of moving from billions to trillions, but that idea is actually more of an illusion. The Blended Finance Task Force found that, in fact, instead of multiplying public sector money by 10 or 100 or 1,000, actually that multiplication is 0.3. That means for every dollar of public sector investment, you only get 30 cents of private sector investment. That means we really need to relook at what our assumptions are about where that financing is coming from and how can we ensure that we are financing Africa's future.
This year's conference, hosted by the Africa Center for Energy Policy, ACEP, is focused on financing Africa's energy future. It brings together policymakers, investors, and civil society leaders to explore new pathways for energy access and economic growth. Kamal also urged governments to strengthen regional integration and adopt transparent governance frameworks to attract sustainable capital.
I think the private sector has concerns about what risks are entailed when investing in the African continent. And this is where also good governance at the center of Africans' economies can help to reassure and reaffirm to investors that Africans are serious about what they can contribute to the economy. So if we can have strong rules and regulation, if we can fight corruption in the private sector, corruption in the public sector, and also if we can ensure that there is transparency and accountability in the way the natural resources and these sectors are managed, then we can increase investor confidence and we can attract more of that private investment.
The two-day event continued with panel discussions on green infrastructure, energy justice, and climate-smart investment strategies.